Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Omar Epps stars in the new thriller The Devil You Know in theaters now. We spoke about his latest flick, as well as his favorite roles from The Program to Major League 2, from Higher Learning to Love and Basketball. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Now we're here talking your brand new thriller, The Devil You Know. Exciting stuff, folks. Check it out. Just hit us with the premise really quick. You know, the log line, if you will.
Well, this is a film for everyone because it's a film that's it's a family drama that's steeped around it's a tale of morality, like I said, family, brotherhood, redemption. And I think those are all themes that everyone can relate to in some way, shape, or form. And my character is sort of he was the wayward one in the family, if you will. And when you meet him, he's just gotten his life back together. He's battling addiction, but he's sober, and he's just gotten a new job, and he's just opened himself up to possible romance. And then we thought it would be fun to throw a bomb on top of all of that and see how it pans out.
Exactly. Well, like you mentioned, the moral complexity of the role, the themes of family, if brothers of yours, if someone in your family, gets accused of something, it's like, do you stick with them, or do you, or what's the right thing to do? And is that something that attracted you to the role? Is just the moral complexity, making the audience think, wow, what would I do in that situation?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, and no one really knows, right? Like, we're living life in real time, and we can have opinions about this, that, or the other. But when it comes to family, there's sort of an innate thing to protect, right? But what's the right thing to do? You kind of don't know, no matter what your prior beliefs were. And so, my character is faced with a moral quandary that actually splinters the family. And, obviously people have to watch it to see how it all plays out.
Of course, we're not going to give it all away here in the interview, but but yeah, for sure, it's great to have complex characters. Absolutely. Well, dish on your co-stars really quick. How much of a joy, if folks see this, they're going to see a bunch of familiar faces and say, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
Yeah. Our cast was great, and it just was a beautiful experience, to get to share screen time with the legendary Glenn Turman and Vanessa Bell Calloway, and Will Catlett, I think, gives a tour de force performance. My co-pilot on this, Michael Ealy, we executive produced this together. It was just an amazing time. And Charles Murray, who wrote and directed the piece, I think is a genius. Well, I know he's a genius, but, and we just try to do our best to create a story that, people continue talking about, once the credits are rolling, and maybe have heated debates and things of that nature.
I love it. And go a little more into your director, Charles Murray. I guess the writer and director here. I love when they do both. It's not just one or the other. I know he directed some stuff from Sons of Anarchy, a bunch of stuff. But what did you dig about, like, his visual style? We've talked a lot about the story and the themes, but visually, as he brought it to screen, what did you dig about his visual style?
Well, Charles is a brilliant creative. We've known each other for some time now. I mean, this film took us 8 years to get made. And he's just such a great collaborator. He listens, but he has such a clear vision on specific things, and he knows how to convey that to a cast in which it would make sense. And shout out to our DP, Ludo, who was this 5'2" Italian woman who was 6 months pregnant when we filmed. And she was, just kicking ass, to be quite honest. Like, and her crew was spectacular, and we just really wanted to create a moment that people could think about, because everyone comes from family, no matter our ethnicity or economic background, socioeconomic background, whatever. We all come from family. We all know what it feels like to sit around a table and, Nana's cooking this, and such and such is playing cards now, and Uncle such and such just cracked open a bottle. Somebody's gonna get into a fight. We all have that commonality in the human experience, and so we just wanted to explore some themes that are completely relatable, but from a specific lens.
Oh yeah, everyone will be able to relate to the universal stuff for sure. Well, I know we got us on a tight window, and so if you don't mind, I'd love to end with a bit of a rapid fire about some of my favorite roles of yours, if you're down. Just real quick answers.
Yep.
We'll blow through them. Of course, Juice playing Q. What was it like being with Tupac?
That was amazing. That's the one word, amazing.
One word, amazing. Darnell Jefferson in the program. I love that, got to hold on to that football even in the class. But memory of that real quick.
That was a fantasy of mine because I actually used to play Pop Warner football, and originally I thought I was going to be in the NFL. Well, at least that was my original push to be in the NFL, and then I got hit real hard, and I was like, you know what? I could act like I could be in the NFL.
You got hit. Hopefully the injury not as bad as some of the ones on the field in the program. That movie's great. In a different sport, maybe my favorite. I smile thinking of Major League 2. Willie Mays Hayes, the Black Hammer, White Lightning. Willie Mays, one of the most fun roles. What was it like taking over for Wesley Snipes and making it your own? Because dare I say, 2 might be funnier than 1. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, that for me was a daunting experience because, Wesley Snipes is one of my acting heroes, and David Ward, who actually wrote and directed the program, was writing that as well. And, while we were filming the program, I don't know what happened, but he asked me one day, hey, would you want to do this Major League thing? And I'm like, at the time, like everyone else would have been like, but that's Wesley Snipes. Like, I can't take that on. And it's like, no, I think it's going to open up and da 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 da. And I'm a kid at the time. I probably was 19, 20, and I was like, all right, I guess. And just it was experience for me. That's what comes to mind.
It's so funny, man. All right, real quick, Higher Learning. Rest in peace, John Singleton. What was his working with him like?
Another word, amazing. I mean, John was a brilliant filmmaker, and I learned so much from him, and that process, the timing, and I mean, the thing about Higher Learning that is it stands the test of time, and it's sad, but some of the themes in that film are so prevalent now. But to me, it's an attribute to his acumen as a writer, as a filmmaker, as a storyteller. So yeah, that's what I think about that.
Brilliant filmmaker. All right, and real quick, we mentioned, your football movie, your baseball movie. We got to talk about love and basketball and the trifecta of sports for you. Playing Quincy, dish on, director Gina Prince Bythewood, I think that's how you say it, but just created. Yeah. I mean, still to this day shows up on the greatest, rom-com or Valentine's movies. Could you imagine that 22 years later, people would still hold it up as one of those great in the genre?
That's amazing that you say that, because you don't. I mean, you're doing this thing because you feel a connection to it, and you want to tell a great story. And Gina, that was her first film, and I think she's a super talented filmmaker. But it's one of those fairy tale. What she constructed as a writer is incredible, because it's one of those fairy tale stories that just sort of transcends time. Itself, because everyone at a point is going to feel a certain way in terms of who they're attracted to and why, and the idea that two people can grow up together and be friends, and but then have a romance and fall out of that and then come back to each other. It's like we all want that type of space to explore the love dynamic. So I mean, for me, at least in my part in it, I'm always in the moment, and imagining things 20 years later. Again, I was in my 20s, so the idea of something 20 years later was just like, oh, the world is over. We're all gone by then.
Right, exactly.
I was so young, but it's incredible to see, like, my kids, who are all teenagers and stuff like that, their friend groups really connect to that film. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And last, I was going to praise you for House, but everybody knows it was a great show. Omar Epps, thank you so much. Again, everyone, check out the new thriller, The Devil You Know. You've been great. Thanks, man. Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.